So, who are you?
My name is Sean Altman. Yes, the Sean Altman. No relation to famous film director Robert Altman, sadly. I do a comedy song act called Sean Altman's Jumongous.
The average guy at the time of Christ was 4'9" to 5'5". I'm taller than Jesus, not better than Jesus, just taller than Jesus.
I have I'm in the vocal group called the Groove Barbers.
One early morning, I went a-walking. I met a young girl, we started talking. I took her home with me to fake a few nips. All we had was a mint julep. One mint julep was the cause of it all.
Which stemmed from my 11 years in the vocal group Rockapella.
I've been playing schoolboy, fishing money schoolboy game. Got to running high, got to running high. Oh, but I've been to the river, seen water turn to sweet red wine. Open up your eyes, yes I did. Open up your eyes. Now I thought the bucket yesterday, yeah. And I got just one thing to say. Hey, I made up my mind. I ain't wasting all my time. I made up my mind. I'm falling over you. I might have lost my world, just faking my way through. Yeah, I made up my mind. I'm falling over you. Come on, come on.
Back to back. Belly to belly. Yes, my friends. Back to back. Belly to belly.
It was a zombie jamboree, took place in the New York cemetery. It was a zombie jamboree, took place in the New York cemetery. Zombies from all parts of the island. And our heart gets weary when it doesn't belong. When the road gets rocky, Lord, you've got to keep on. Let the new light keep shining on through. Oh yeah, I've been lonely, I've been cheated, I've been misunderstood. I've been washed up, I've been put down and told I'm no good. But with you I belong, 'cause you help me be strong. There's a change in my life since you came along. Well, she sneaks around the world from India to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is
Carmen San Diego.
I have an Everly Brothers tribute act.
Here he comes, that's Kathy's clown. I've gotta stand tall, you know man can crawl. But when he knows you're telling lies and he's a passing by, he's not a man at all.
Called the Everly Set. I'm part of the Losers Lounge tribute series in New York.
For over 30 years, he's captivated myself and most children, and most adults. Now, Sean Altman sits down for an interview with me. This is 11 minutes of hero worship.
My first influences were folk music, like Peter, Paul and Mary, Simon and Garfunkel, and the Beatles. So when I first started performing professionally, I was in a duo with David Yazbek, who's now one of the kings of Broadway as a composer. and he and I were in a teen duo in high school called Moon Pudding, and we were doing Simon and Garfunkel, Beach Boys, some Beatles, and a lot of David Yazbek's original music. So that was my first fling with professional musicianship, and when I was only 16. And we were doing clubs and some school performances, and then I followed him to Brown University, and we kept the act going there. And by the time I got to Brown, I'd already done 50 club shows around New York City, and I was somewhat seasoned by while I was still in my teens. I met David Yazbek in high school when I was 16 and he was 17. I was a junior and he was a senior, and we had a mutual friend, David Sticks, who said, "Oh, you guys both like to sing. Why don't we try to do some a cappella trios?" And I didn't know anything about a cappella, but we put together some sort of simple doo-wop and barbershop stuff, and we won a talent contest with a 3-song repertoire. We were known as the Glee 3, and we did "Rock My Soul in the Bosom of Abraham." But I pretty much worked, consistently with him, and we've been friends for years. And then when Rockapella got on Carmen Sandiego in 1991, they asked us to write a theme song, and so we all went home and put down our ideas. And I had this idea for the theme song. I still have the original demo that I wrote, that I sang into my answering machine in 1991. It was, or 1990 when we were working on it. It was, "Well, she sneaks around the world from Kiev to Carolina. Tell me where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? On a jet plane to New York or a slow boat to China? Tell me where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?" So I had that idea and a couple of others. And I went to the best songwriter I knew, my friend David Yazbek, and I said, "Hey, I've got a couple of ideas. Which of these is the best?" And he said, "This is the one to work on, and I'd love to work with it on you." And I was flattered and also excited because he was a bona fide songwriter, and I was just kind of getting my feet wet, even though I was already in my 30s. So he and I fleshed out that song and that arrangement. And there you go. So then Yazbek and I ended up writing this iconic theme song. So I get to Brown University. I'm 18, and David Sticks, whom I had gone to high school with, and he was a bass singer. He as soon as he got up to Brown, he was inducted into the only male a cappella group at Brown University at the time, the Brown University Hijinks. And he told the guys in the group, "Hey, there's a guy who's coming next year, Sean Altman. I sang with him in high school. If there's a spot for him next year, let's please hold a spot for him." So they delayed having auditions in the spring because they knew that I was coming. And sure enough, they accepted me into the group. So I got up to Brown, and within a few weeks, I was in the only college a cappella group on campus. So it was an incredible treat for me. And also I was really learning how to sing a cappella. So in that group were Elliot Kerman, who ended up being one of the founders of Rockapella with me, David Sticks, who ended up being one of the founders of Rockapella with me, and then the next year, a guy named Steve Kais joined the group, and the four of us ended up founding Rockapella after we had all graduated from college.
We had a long conversation, nearly an hour and a half, but we don't have time for all that now. But if you wouldn't mind looking down there, you'll find the entire interview. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.
To show you how valuable each minute of time is when you're shooting, one time, Rockapella, we used to hang out in this alley. That was the place where Rockapella supposedly lived. Like, the game show took place in one part of the set, and Rockapella was supposed to be hanging out in the alley. And in the alley was like a fake candy store and a bunch of signs, and we were wearing like these 1940s fedoras and suspenders. But we were hanging out in the alley, and at one point we did a musical Clue. and there were blackboards on it. And in the alley on the blackboard, it said things like, because it was supposed to be a candy store there, and it said things like, gum, 1 cent, hot dogs, 5 cents. So one day, as a goof, I took a piece of chalk, and underneath where it said gum, 1 cent, hot dogs, 5 cents, I wrote head, $1. I was just being a jerk, and I didn't think that anybody would know or care. Well, we shot a scene, and then somebody noticed that it said head, $1. And the producers, man, they just ripped me a new asshole. Do you know how much it costs to shoot a scene? It costs like $25,000 for us to shoot a scene. We have to reshoot that scene because of your prank. I mean, that was just because I made a little sex joke on a thing that, God forbid, somebody would see it and zoom in and see that there was a blowjob joke on the blackboard of a kid's show. So that's how valuable TV production time is.